Hi folks, welcome back. We're going to do a new project. I had thought about doing this for a while and I wasn't sure how it was going to go and exactly how to do it. I did some research on it and I learned a lot about it, and this is more geared for the people in the United States. It's geared towards our military, and you'll see why. We're going to be doing what's called the Battle Cross Lost But Not Forgotten. It's a pattern I put together of the helmet, the gun, and the boots. And if you're not familiar with what this is they will set this up on the battlefield or out on the field and have a memorial service for a fallen soldier, and they'll hang the dog tags off of it, usually off the gun somewhere, and it would take their place, especially for those soldiers that cannot go to a service, and this is the way they have their memorial services. And I thought it would be interesting to try to carve something similar to this. My family, I know, my parents are very indebted to the U.S. military for freeing them back in World War II, and I along with my parents feel very strongly positively to our military, and we thank them for the service and the sacrifice that they do for us all the time. You know, it's amazing. I got to meet a young man in his mid-20s, probably later 20s now. I've known him for a few years, and he's helped me around the farm here. And I will tell you, he is 100% military. He has gone to Iraq. He thought he was going to go to Afghanistan, and he is 100% military material. And he is the most honest, honorable person that I have ever met. If all our men and women are like him, we have every reason to be proud of our military and the way they conduct themselves. He's never questioned where, he just goes where he's told, and he has worked his way up the ranks a little bit, and he just loves it. He loves traveling. He loves what he does, and he went to Iraq. I know he was glad to come home, of course, and he was supposed to go out for 15 months, and he was back in about 10 to 11 months he came back. But I'm sure that I worried about him when he was over there and wondered how he was going to handle it, and making sure he was going to come back. And he really loves this country. I mean, he really loves to protect it and to take care of it. So one thing I will do is show you how to set this up. Now, I have it, you can do it from a straight block, but I would tell you that there will be a lot of cutting. You really need a bandsaw for this to cut it out the way I have it, and I'll explain how I did that. One thing I did do is take a block of wood, and I took the pattern and I cut it out. Well, I didn't cut it out, I cut around it, and I took glue, and I glued the top and the bottom, and I glued the pattern onto the wood. It's actually a glue stick. It's not a big deal because you're going to be cutting it off anyway, but it's a lot easier than trying to trace it on and go around something. So that's what I did with that, and you are welcome to use this pattern. The reason I have this up so long, if you want to trace it, you can. I will have this on my blog. I will also have this on my Facebook. So if you want the pattern, you're welcome to download it and use it as many times as you like. And I'm hoping that if you can give it away to somebody and have some meaning for someone, super. I'm keeping one at home just to constantly remind me that we have soldiers out there yet, and that they gave the ultimate price. So that will be on Facebook soon. So what I did was I put it on here, and the pattern was already on. So, and then on this side I put a line down the center pretty well, and then I took laid it sideways, and from the bottom of the helmet, okay, and the top of the boot, I cut inward and then cut out, because this is kind of flat. This wouldn't rock in the bandsaw. So we're going to go ahead and start on this. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to have to chop. You're going to have to make the helmet as wide front and back, square, before you can round it up, because it's technically round. So, you know, folks, I looked up a lot of photographs on this. Most of them have it either behind the boots, in front of the boots, and between the boots, and the handle going up through the hat, or up to the hat. Some of it was straight, some of it was a little bit angled over. The boots, I have it a little bit bigger there than what I have in the pattern. I just think you can always cut it down a little further if you want, but I'm making the boot a little bit higher on the bottom portion. And we'll start. I kind of started one, and I'll show you a little bit of the difference between that one and this one when we get done. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go across here, and we're going to cut. We need to cut this portion out right here, and we also need to cut this down a little bit, because the piece of wood that I used on this, or that you'll have to use on this pattern, would be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 4.5 inches. I think that's what this one is. Yes, it's a little bit smaller, but not by much. It's 4.5 by 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches square. Alright, so we'll come back and we'll start the carving itself.